y gracias por todo.
Bienvenidos y muchas gracias a vosotros. Hasta pronto.
Pues nada, chicos, os vamos a dejar porque ya veis que ya están todos los coches preparados. Queda apenas un minuto aproximadamente para que comience esta vuelta de formación y veremos a un Dylan Van Hoff de nuevo en la pole. Pues vamos a ver si efectivamente es capaz de defender ese liderato, porque en las últimas carreras, como ya vimos, no se lo están poniendo nada fácil, precisamente los españoles, a los que tenemos muy cerca. Así que nada, Cristian, te devuelvo a la conexión. Aquí hace, como habéis comentado, bastante calor. Tenemos aproximadamente unos 30 grados, más la humedad propia de aquí de Valencia. Pero bueno, hace vientecito. Es verdad que es un poco sofocante, pero no nos vamos a quejar, que llevamos toda la semana esperando lluvia. Así que nada, os cedo la retransmisión para que junto con Álvaro comentéis estas carreras.
Excellent, Laura. Thank you very, very much for your update there. As you saw on screen, of course, the track temperature is a 39 degrees Celsius and the air temperature 30 degrees Celsius, because very, very warm in this part of Spain as we get to the middle to the end of September. The grid showing on screen for you now. Van 't Hoff in that pole position, he had 4/10 of an advantage over Sebastian Ogier, then Matzia, then Ryabov, fourth ahead of Marti and Santo. Arkin Chelsea took 7th position ahead of Zanfari, Enrique Bordas and Guillermo Oliveira. Rick Cohn gets away 11th, Gil Molina in 12th. Of course, next up is Philippe Genique. He'll be starting 13th on the grid. Then Brandon Lee Oxley, who's starting 14th. Oliver Mitchell, 15th. Abramczyk starts 16th. And then Alejandro Garcia starting 17th. And Partashev 18th on the grid. Now, a new entry for this weekend, starting in 19th place, was Miron Pingasov, 15-year-old Russian driver. He'll be getting away from 19th on the grid. And then, of course, you may have just seen 21st on the grid. Another new championship entry for this weekend, Anshul Gandhi starting 23rd on the grid. As we get away from the dummy lap, the drivers making their way around the Ricardo Tormo circuit. It's a long while now since I was last at this fabulous circuit, watching many junior Formula races here over the years, and very much looking forward to seeing how these young Spanish Formula 4 drivers handle the race today in these conditions. Very warm conditions, quite muggy, quite humid. So, well, they may not feel it necessarily towards the beginning of this race. They certainly will begin to feel it towards the end. And also another thing to look out for is the tyres, of course. The tyres supplied by Hankook do actually a very good job. But those drivers who really push, and I mean really push on them, trying to make moves, trying to make their way through the field, tend to feel it towards the latter stages of the race, and you will see them sliding a little bit, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of limitation the drivers have on their cars, whether they're oversteering. It is a very tight and twisty circuit, not much in the way of big throttle sections, so you could end up burning out your tires by locking up into corners, or potentially even burning out your rear tires as you're trying to accelerate away. Either way, it's going to be a test for all the drivers. And we see Van 't Hoff there in pole position in the red car with the black nose cone. He has been shadowed very much by Ogier. And Ogier has come on of sorts in this latter portion, well, the second half of the championship we've seen so far. He took 2 wins at Portimao in the 3rd round and got a podium last time out at Motorland Aragon. And the first 2 rounds, yes, he had a podium in the first race, or the first round at Spa, but it's been a bit hit and miss thereafter. Had a bit of a difficult weekend at Navarra, but he has launched himself 2nd in the championship, ahead of Matzia and Marti, but a long way behind championship leader Dalino Van 't Hoff. Now, they are lining up on the grid. We're about to get this race underway. The first race of 3 this weekend. Van 't Hoff on your left-hand side, number 17, the red car with the black boxes around the nose cone. Sebastian Ogier is on the right of the screen in the 2nd position. car with a black nose cone and a white machine, and he gets away. Ogard gets away the best of the two, slides into the lead ahead of Vantoff, and Mattia lining into third place there, but he is facing a challenge, I believe, for Marti, and I think he is. Yes, I do believe it is Pepe Marti trying to go around the outside of Mattia into turn 2. Didn't quite work. Vantoff, meanwhile, locked his tires going into turn 2, and that's given a little bit of breathing room to Ogard as they come around the back end, onto the back end of the circuit. Now, the status for this race, it is 25 minutes plus 1 lap. And with the laps, the qualifying laps in around the mid 1 minute 30s, and around 1 minute 35, we should be looking at in race lap times. We should at least get around 15 laps into this race. Now, that is towards the end. This is Ogard coming around and leading this race. A very, very good start. Looked like a bit of a sluggish getaway for Vantoff, however, as he heads. Mattia in second place. Marti fourth, tried to make a move for Mattia, but couldn't quite make it work. Espirito Santo fifth place ahead of Akinchelski. Bordas up to 7th. And we have the safety car out. And that is one of the DriveX machines. And I think that might be Oliveira. I do believe that may be Guillermo Oliveira. And if it is, very, very, very disappointing for Oliveira, who really did make some strides last time out at Motorland Aragon. Ryabov's had an awful start as well. Now, we haven't actually seen an incident. Ryabov did start 4th. And I wonder if he had a bad start. Oliveira did start towards the lower end of the top 10. And Marshall's struggling to push a DriveX machine out of the gravel. They've got it going now. Now, Oliveira can't rejoin this race. He's got a push start, therefore he is basically done. He has rejoined the circuit, but he will have to go straight into the pits. If he tries to carry on with the race, he will get disqualified. You'd like to think he knows that, but you know, for these drivers, this is their first ever racing championship, or first ever car racing championship, I should say. They should know what the score is. They have been karting for an incredibly long time. And so, safety car out. It was a little bit of a surprise, I must admit, because we did not see the incident happening on screen, but this does give an opportunity for Vantoff to retake the lead. Losing it at the start when the lights went out, as I said, a little bit sluggish away. Ogard a little bit more feisty, had a little bit more thrust, a little bit more drive, and that allowed him to get into the lead. As we just see now on the replay, there is a sluggish start by Ryabov, the green GRS machine, and really did absolutely bog down dreadfully from 4th on the grid. Everyone else avoiding him, but it brought him right into the pack. And interestingly enough, with that slow start, actually brought him right into the pack with Oliveira. Now, I wonder if he's lost additional positions since then. Still under safety car conditions, and I do wonder if this should be a relatively brief safety car period. Oliveira is out of the gravel trap, and it didn't look as if he touched anything. But he's still going around. I think he's still trying. I think he's actually trying to rejoin the back of the field, and I do feel he will get a black flag if he does, because he got a push start. But we shall see. I mean, the team should be telling him over the radio that he will not be allowed. Well, he will be disqualified. He will get a black flag. I certainly haven't seen any messages on the board, and the safety car remains out for another lap. And I'm curious as to why, because the gravel trap has been cleared. The only thing I can think of is maybe, quite possibly, maybe some debris my thought initially was it was just a simple spin for Oliveira, in which case debris shouldn't be a problem, but maybe there could have been if there was some sort of contact somewhere. But his car looks relatively intact. And actually, you know, I'm quite surprised he hasn't caught up at the back of the field at this point. Well, he's going to carry on, so he's carrying on. He's going to carry on with the race, even though he's got help from outside assistance. That's a shock, but I suppose every lap in a car at this level is very much worthwhile, very necessary. There's a big limitation on testing nowadays, so every mile is worth it, although he may end up getting himself a little bit of a penalty afterwards if he does carry on. So, I mean, it's also fair to say everyone else has actually got away fine. We've had no retirements on that first lap. We started with 25 runners. We're still at 25 runners. And as it stands, it is Oliveira at the back of the field, just behind Anshul Gandhi, the rookie. Oliver Mitchell dropped down to 23rd. Emily de Hughes is 22nd. Loven Foss is 21st. Then Kelstrup 20th. Campos 19th. Thengball 18th. Pardashev 17th. Pinkasov, good start for him, 16th. Ryabov has dropped all the way down to 15th. Now the lights are out on the safety car, so we are about to get going, and it is Ogard holding the field, waiting to give it a little push. Safety car pulls in, and Ogard gets away from Van Toff. This race restarts on lap 4, and I do believe that is Mattia Marti attacking Van Toff, about to lose a position to Mattia coming into turn 1, and he does. Van Toff drops down to 3rd place. Marty's there in 4th as well, looking to take advantage. Van Toff is trying to make his way back past Mattia for 2nd place, goes around the outside. He's done this a couple of times so far this year, but he's not going to manage it this time as Mattia pushes Van Toff, the championship leader, out wide, and he's lost his front wing. I think we've had an incident there. I think Van Toff has actually damaged his front wing going off. As Van Toff goes right back into 2nd place. Yes, he has, and I wonder, Mattia is going backwards. I wonder if he's taken a little bit of damage as well, as there's the field really piles together. And Mattia is falling down the order now. Van Toff still out with a broken front wing ahead of Marty. Marty's not taking him. Now he will as Van Toff goes wide. No, he won't. Van Toff cuts across, still maintains the position. Feisty driving from the Dutch racer, the championship leader, whose poorest finish so far this season has been 4th place, which has been achieved twice. And Espirito Santo has also fallen down the order. I wonder if he's gone off in the melee that happened earlier on. Van Toff really struggling now as Marty has gone past. Bordas has gone past as well into 3rd place. And Van Toff has pulled into the pits. Well, a rare scenario for Lino Van Toff. As I said, the lowest position he's finished so far this season has been 4th. Well, I do believe he's going to have a much lower finish this time around, and we hopefully will see what happens here. He's broken his wing when going off. I don't know what happened to Mattia though. I wonder if he's had a similar contretemps where he's actually broken his wing while going, or broken something on his car while going off. And we see one of the other MP Motorsport entries there as well. Couldn't quite identify who that was. That is the number 44. That is Espirito Santos, and that explains why he was falling down the order. He's also having a new front wing fitted. So Ogard leads, Marty 2nd. And Bornas in 3rd place. Arkachelski is up to 4th, good for him. Riccone 5th. Suleiman Sanfari, very fantastic high position for him in 6th place. Rick and Gilles Molina up to 7th. Brandon Lee Oxley in 8th place, that's the highest he's been so far this year. Philippe Jenik 9th, and Ryabov has actually climbed his way back up to 10th. In the melee, that has all happened in the last couple of laps. Meanwhile, Ogard, he's a mile ahead at this point. Everything happened behind him. He's probably wondering What on earth is going on? He's got a gap of 4.5 seconds at this stage. As they all come across the start-finish line to begin lap number 6. Well, a little bit of excitement there. That was very, very, very welcome. Meanwhile, Van Toff, by the way, he's running in 23rd position. I think he may pull some positions back in the remainder of this. Well, actually, no, that might even be a bit tough because he's going to be, I think he's quite a bit behind the pack. I'll find out where he is at some point. Yeah, I think he's lost 30 seconds, so I think he's just going to be driving around in clean air. But as I said earlier on, it's best to get, you know, some testing laps, even if you are the championship winner, even if you have won 5 races this year and claimed 8 poles. Mileage is mileage, and it is critical. Now we see a battle for 4th, 5th and 6th here. As Arkanchelski ahead of Cohn and Zanfari. Ogard out ahead, and he's spreading his wings very much ahead of Marty. The two is going to be a Campos. There's a Campos 1-2 at this stage, but Bordas is looking for a way by, and we do see this from time to time in Spanish Formula 4. Drivers trying a multitude of lines, and you know, some drivers will have preference of how to approach a corner, the way they want to sit on an apex. Do you take a narrower line and try and maybe go for a wider apex, or maybe do you take a wider line entry but leave yourself at risk to being overtaken coming into a corner? It really is down to a driver feel, how they're feeling with the car, how they're feeling with the tyre, and you adjust your style of driving as you go on through the race. As Sebastian Ogard says, the fastest lap of 1:34.199. Only 0.4 of a second off his fastest lap in qualifying, by the way. So very, very good effort. He has now extended his lead to 6.1 seconds. And in a similar scenario at Portimao, I can't remember if it was race 1 or race 2, where he got into the lead. There was a massive fight behind him, and that kind of went on in the distance. And meanwhile, he just pulled away. But Marty's not pulling away from Bordas. It's the battle for 2nd and 3rd place. Bordas, though, is going to be watching his mirrors because Arkanchelski is there. Rick Cohn is also there in 5th place, and just behind them is Zanfari in 6th place. Molina in 7th. Good run for him. Brandon Lee Oxley is holding on. You can see him there in the blue and bright yellow limeish green car, the DriveX entry. And a fantastic job by Leanne. We do have a retirement. Now that might be Matsia. I'm not. As we see Marty there in 2nd place in the white car with the black nose cone. Just behind him is the Formula de Campinos car. It's Enric Bordas in the orange machine with the black engine cover, and just behind him is Arkanchelski's the green, red and white machine. Rick Cohn 5th place in the light blue and white car. Looks very much like a Finnish flag. 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. All doing laps in the mid 1:35s, and it says an awful lot of Ogard in clean air. He's just driving away from this field, doing laps in the 1:34s. Indeed, the fastest lap for Ogard is over a second quicker than some of those guys just behind him. So he really is just drawing a significant lead. This could, at this rate, this could end up being the biggest race winning lead of the season. He's still setting personal bests, is Ogard, at certain sectors. And to give you a read, by the way, Van Toff is still in 23rd place. He has a gap of 23 seconds to the next place driver, who is Anshul Gandhi in 22nd. The driver today who's making his debut. As we see, Ryabov trying to make a move on Molina. This is for 7th and 8th place. Ryabov going around the outside, well, at least looking around the outside. He's going to try around the outside, and he goes off track to complete the move. Now, it'll be interesting to see whether he'll be told to give that position back, because he made the move stick on outside of the circuit. But either way, fantastic effort to take Gilles Molina for 7th place. Ryabov, who started 4th, had a dreadful start, fell down to 15th by turn 1. He's overtaken several drivers. Oh, and Molina almost spinning there by getting his car completely off circuit. We've got another driver in the pits. This is Lola Lovenfoss. Disappointing for her. Another front wing damage. A lot of action going on in this race. Lovenfoss did get as high as 16th earlier on, so I wonder if she's either gone off or had a contretemps somewhere. And well, there's Ogard, the gap now, 8.5 seconds. And you can see he's pulling a second to 1.2 seconds per lap each time around from his teammate Marty. Marty, meanwhile, is still finding himself under pressure. 6/10. The gap to 3rd place Bordas. Arkanchelski still there, half a second behind Bordas in 4th place. So this really is a fantastic job so far by Arkanchelski. He has had a brace of, well, not a brace, he's had several points finishes this season. He's had 4 5ths, a 6 and a couple of 8s. But 5th is the best he's managed so far this season. So if he stays in 4th, this will be his best effort of the 2021 Spanish Formula 4 Championship so far. We're now looking at Ryabov. He's chasing down Zanfari. He sees an opportunity of another point-paying position. Ryabov's been very fast. Ryabov's probably the only driver on the field so far who's reasonably close to Ogard in terms of pace. Ryabov in the mid to late 1 minute 34s.
Si
Laura Martin now chatting to Daniel Matzia.
Bueno, pues no tengo pocas palabras, la verdad, porque ya en recta de meta le ha salido mal la relanzada del safety car, creo que no le ha entrado a la marcha, yo he aprovechado, he ido a adelantarle, ya me ha hecho un cambio de dirección un poco extraño y nada, hemos llegado al final de recta, yo le he dejado espacio sin problema y al final en Duhan él ha frenado por fuera, yo sabía que estaba fuera, yo he alargado la frenada obviamente y ya había un momento que no teníamos pista y él no sé por qué no ha cedido y nos hemos tocado, él ha tocado a la ala delantera suya con mi rueda trasera y ha pinchado. Nada, una pena porque viendo ahora la carrera como está, yo creo que teníamos el ritmo para seguir a Ogard y estamos luchando con él justo por el subcampeonato, ¿no? Entonces al final él lo tiene más fácil, pero yo me viene muy mal este abandono, ¿no? Entonces nada, esto ya ha pasado, mañana queda otra crono y 2 carreras, así que ya la vista puesta mañana.
En cualquier caso, como estábamos comentando antes de entrar al directo, sin duda, quizá si alguien tiene que perder, pese a que efectivamente, como tú bien comentabas, precisamente en casa un abandono te viene fatal, como comentábamos, es que precisamente Dilano se está jugando el campeonato porque en esta misma carrera podría haber salido ya campeón. Entonces, como tú bien decías, no era necesario arriesgar tanto y no ceder.
No, yo creo que, a ver, al final estamos aquí para ganar, ¿no? Eso lo entiendo, pero ya llega un punto, por ejemplo, con Pepe, que ha intentado por fuera en Duhan en la salida y ha cedido. Entonces llega un punto en que ya te tienes que dar por vencido, ¿no? Yo creo que es así, entonces nada, yo no puedo hacer nada, esto ya ha pasado, esto no depende de mí, entonces, como digo, ya pensando en mañana y mañana tenemos 2 carreras más.
Pues esperemos que mañana vaya mucho mejor. Muchas gracias, Dani.
Muchas gracias a vosotros.
That's Daniel Matzia, the recently retired Daniel Matzia, talking to Laura Martin in the pits. Meanwhile, back on track, we're looking still at Pepe Marti, 2nd place, leading a train of cars. He's got Eric Bordas just behind him, then in 4th place, Arkanchelski. And then you got Rick Cohn in 5th, Zanfari in 6th place. Ryabov is right close to Zanfari. Now the gap only 0.3 of a second as they come close to finishing lap number 11. And Ogard, the gap is huge. It's over 10.5 seconds. I'm guessing it's probably going to be about 11 and a bit seconds as they come across the line. Let's see what kind of pace he is maintaining. And the gap is indeed 10.7 seconds. Well, maybe Ogard seen a huge gap behind. And I do believe that is Zanfari, Rybov getting down the inside of Zanfari into turn 1. That is for 6th position, and he does a fantastic job by Ryabov. It must be said in this race to have made a poor start, dropped all the way down to 5th. Yes, he had a little bit of luck with the safety car. Yes, he had a little bit of luck with the field, you know, coming together really almost just after the safety car, but he has made the overtakes, he's made them stick. He is now up to 6th place and chasing after 5th place man Rick Combe. There's still 5 minutes and 1 lap of this race left. And he's really gotten into his race pace. I think one of the things that Ryabov seemed to struggle with earlier on this season is he qualified reasonably well. The single lap pace was there, and occasionally he had good race pace, but as well as that, his pace would often tail off very quickly in the race, especially as they seemed to burn through the Hancock tyres, or the best of the Hancock tyres relatively quickly. And as Ryabov, he's slowing, he's pulling down to the inside of the circuit. And just as I was saying, what a wonderful race he is having, something has gone wrong. There is an issue, a mechanical issue with that car. His pace has dropped right down, and I think we're going to see him come straight into the pits. What an absolute disappointment for the Global Racing School driver. A disappointment again in this race. After that slow stop and a slow start, was really making gains through the field, and now his machine beginning to splutter and conk out, and he will pull into the pits and hopefully get going again for race 2, as we see Bordas now being chased, or still being chased by Arkankowski. I think Arkankowski got a little bit close for comfort there coming through turn 2. So we're looking the GRS machine. And Ryabov, well, it's come back to him as well. He is now 13th place. And that is quite curious. Well, hopefully we'll find out after the race what the scenario was. Meanwhile, Ogard leads from Marty. The gap is 11.1 seconds. And then Bordas is 0.6 of a second behind Marty. And Arkanchelski is 4th place, just ahead of Rick Cohn and Zanfari, now back into 6th position. Gilles Molina 7th, but he's got a bit of a gap between Molina and Zanfari. This really is the battle that matters. This is the battle that everyone is looking at. This is the battle that everyone is paying attention to. And as we see Bordas, he's really working hard to try and keep Arkanchelski behind. As Arkanchelski goes out onto the green strip, but he's going to keep his foot in it. Will he go around the outside? Bordas, and you see Rick Cohn just there keeping a watching brief. Maybe there could be an opportunity for Rick Cohn to take position, but he's going to take advantage, or try and take advantage. He goes around the outside of Arkanchelski, who's cut off very abruptly by Bordas. And congratulations on Rick Cohn keeping his wits about him. Bordas going off the track almost onto the green strip, as Arkanchelski really gaining to a position now where he's going to try and retake Bordas once, or attempt to retake Bordas once again. But that was very, very aggressive driving, very tough driving, and realistically, it's the kind of driving I think we were expecting a little bit more of from Bordas at times this year. He did very, very, very well at Navarra in the second round, took 2 race wins there, but has been blowing hot and cold really ever since, and it's very much taken him out of the championship standings, and it's even dropped him further behind the battle for 2nd place in the championship. He's currently 5th in points with 83. And so Ogard continues to lead. We are very, very, very close to the end. We're really very much on the penultimate lap of this race now. The battle between Bordas and Arkanchelski has given Pepe Marti a little bit of breathing room, and Arkanchelski's still there. He's still looking at Bordas. He wants that podium. He wants to stand on those steps just above the pit lane and claim that first rostrum of the season. He's chasing Bordas down. And Bordas, he's going off a little bit. You can see really where he's struggling for grip in certain areas, and the car is not complying in the way that he would wish, the way that he needs. Arkanchelski is sitting very much underneath Bordas's rear, but he's running out of time, running out of opportunity. 0.3 of a second, just over 0.3 of a second is the gap. But Arkanchelski needs to be closer. We saw him a couple of laps ago. He actually almost collided with Bordas coming through turn 2 and 3. Got a little bit too close to the rear wing of his rival, and that almost cost him. But for the moment, he's keeping a watch and brief. Marty, he's given the one finger salute, which in this case means he's got 1 lap left. His gap to Ågaard getting the 1 finger salute. This is the last lap of the race. The gap between first and second is 11.3 seconds. And I think Arkanchelski's maybe just dropped a little bit too far behind at this point. He's over half a second behind Bordas. Oh, we got a spin. We have a spin, and I do believe that's Ryabov. Ryabov was, I read, making a move for 13th position on Pingasov, the driver making his debut this season. He's come off worse and seems to have spun off, and that has finally dropped him out of the order, or out of the top 20 order, I should say. Disappointing race from Ryabov. And I'm very keen to find out what the scenario, what the situation was with him dropping speed midway through the race, just as he climbed back into the top 6. But that's then, this is now. There's an interesting visual of Ågaard on his way to winning the race, and in the background on the other side of the circuit is Dalino Van Toff, soaking up the fact that he's going to finish towards the back of the grid after having to pit to change a front wing. Ågaard has done everything perfectly. Got a fantastic start, got into the lead right from the line, has led ever since, held sway under a safety car restart. Has been absolutely no fuss for him whatsoever. The gap coming across the line, and it is Marty. It is going to be a Campos 1-2. And the gap is going to be 10.9 seconds as the race win. Bordas third, back on the podium. Arkanchelski 4th position. Sanfari is 5th ahead of Molina. Brandon Lee Oxley 7th, best finish of the season for him so far. Noah Abramczyk takes 8th. Rick Cohn 9th. And finishing off the points is Alejandro Garcia taking 10th position. 11th, Filip Janik. Noah Dengbal was 12th. Miron Pingasov, good effort from him, the rookie driver in his first race in Formula 4. His first car race ever. For a driver who only turned 15 a few weeks ago, he comes home 13th. Alexander Pardashev 14th. Emily de Hughes comes home 15th. Guillermo Oliveira, disappointing for him, 16th. Jorge Kelstrup would be very disappointed with 17th. Oliver Mitchell 18th. Anshul Gandhi comes home 19th, his first ever car race. Good effort too. Jorge Campos 20th. Delano Van Toff in the end was 21st. Ryabov 27th, recovering from his spin. And the non-finishers, Lola Lovenfoss didn't come out of the pits in the end. Daniel Matzia we saw interviewed after his issue, and Manuel Espirito Santo retired after completing 4 laps. He also pulled into the pits. Well, there is the driver of the day, very much Sebastian Ågaard, taking 25 points. That will significantly add to his gap to take second in the standings. That brings him up to 139 points. Marty, who came home second in that race, I think he should jump Daniel Matzia, and actually will take third in the championship standings on 121. And Bordas with his podium finish brings him up to 98 points. He is still fifth in the point standings. Close to reaching 100, but not quite there yet. But it doesn't matter to this man. Number 25, race winner, Sebastian Ågaard. His third win of the season. To add to the two he got at Portimao. And a long way to solidifying that second in the championship. As he celebrates with his mechanics, his crew, the Campos team. And must be noted, Campos 1-2, they only have 4 drivers in the championship. Now with their 2 drivers, Sebastian Ågaard and Pepe Marti, regularly up towards the top order, that is a good boon for them in the team standings. Again, further solidifies their position in the team's championship as second place ahead of Formula de Campaños, but quite a way behind MP Motorsport. But a fantastic job by Ågaard, brilliant start, getting ahead of Dylan Van Toff right from the get-go. And as I said, just easing away. At one point in that race, he was pulling away a second lap from the chasing order, all of whom were just battling amongst themselves and fighting hard to claim the last podium positions. And we're going to get the order on screen now. Eventually. It's a nice, wonderful shot there of either turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. And a wonderful circuit. Most, probably best known really for MotoGP is the Ricardo Tormo circuit. And also very well known for the very, very twisty nature of this circuit. A lot of teams test here. It gives them an opportunity to really kind of work on the aerodynamics of their machines, such as the twisty, tight nature of this circuit. The drivers now, the photographs have been taken and the cars have been wheeled into Parc Fermé, wheeled into scrutineering. The circuit readies yourself for the following race of this evening. Now, the order to top 10. Sebastian Ågaard, race winner, absolutely deserved, fantastic. Pepe Marti, second place, just ahead of Arkanchelski, Zanfari in fourth. Bornas dropped down to 5th position, and I wonder if that's a penalty. Hopefully we'll find out later on. Gil Molina in 6th place there, and then Brandon Lee Oxley in 7th ahead of Alejandro Garcia. It looks like Zanfari may have taken a penalty at some point as well. And then Noah
Sebastian,
Dengball.
congratulations, fantastic start and very good result points for the championship. What can you tell us about it?
Well, first of all, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, the start was amazing, and I took lead after turn 1. And from there, we put new tires for this race, so from there it was just bringing it home, and we did it, so yeah, I'm really happy.
And how do you expect for tomorrow's races?
Tomorrow in the first race we start P2, so I hope I can do the same. And then we will see for the last race after quali.
Thank you and very luck for tomorrow.
Sorry.
Thank you and very luck for tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Sebastian Ågaard talking to Laura Martin down in the pit lane, celebrating his 3rd win of the season. And starting from P2 tomorrow, he'll be hoping for a repeat of today's result. And again, qualifying 2, which will set in the grid for race 3 tomorrow. That takes place tomorrow morning, first thing tomorrow morning. So there's still a lot of bit of working on. As he just said, he started on fresh tyres for this. There is a balance for the drivers. They do need to maintain their tyres over the course of a race weekend. So at some point, they're going to have to come into a race at some point this weekend, having to use slightly aged tyres. And of course, you then begin to create strategy as to how you kind of divvy up your tyres throughout the course of the event. drivers will soon be, well, should now be making their way up to the podium. The post-race celebrations and the trophies to be handed out. We'll see a small throng gathering in the pit lane. It's nice to see, people gathering at the circuit now. And it's been a difficult year for a lot of teams, a lot of championships due to the coronavirus, and we're slowly but surely beginning to see crowds coming back at these smaller events. We've seen them in high-profile international events, but fantastic to see people gathering here at Ricardo Tomer circuit here in Valencia to watch some fantastic Formula 4 action. I was about to say before the race, I didn't quite get the numbers added up in time, but if all things went well for him this weekend, Dylan Van Toff would probably be very close to solidifying the actual championship at the end of this weekend. Such was his gap between, effectively after qualifying, Van Toff had more than twice the points of Ogard. Well, that's changed slightly. The gap is still big. Van Toff still leads the championship by 90 points. But there is still a significant number of points remaining. There's 180 points remaining. See some of the crowd there enjoying a day in the sun, really enjoying some racing. And it's been a full day of racing. There has been other categories going on. There has been some TCR racing out there as well today, and some other championships. So lots of action for people to watch and enjoy. I think there's one more race this evening before things wrap up for Saturday. We're just still waiting for drivers to come out onto the podium. To see Ogard, Marti and Arkanchelski celebrate their efforts. The sun coming down here in Valencia, you can really see the depth of the shadows now as they reach out across the circuit. And this brings the temperature down a bit as well. We should be seeing the temperature is still warm. It's still quite a bit of humidity in the air. And tomorrow when race 2 gets underway, which is very much the height of the day, the race 2 gets underway tomorrow, and I'll need to bring this up because I do believe it's around midday, which is when race 2 gets going. Midday Spanish time, that is. And of course the schedule tomorrow so qualifying at 9 AM and race 2 starting at midday, but today's race you can see there a sluggish start by Van Toff letting Ogard away. That was the moment that Mattia and Van Toff broke their front wings and dropped down the order, Mattia eventually retiring. Rybov in the green car was climbing through the field. Meanwhile, Marti held off Bordas, Zanfari and Arkanchelski amongst others. This was Ryabov going off the circuit to take Zanfari for what was then 6th place. He would later come to an almost halt. Gilles Molina, sorry, that was Ryabov taking Gilles Molina. He would later come to an almost halt. And we haven't had any messages yet as to why that was, but meanwhile it didn't matter to Marty, who was in 2nd place, heading Arkanchelski and Bordas. Bordas fighting very hard to keep Arkanchelski wide. That was Ryabov late in the race, having a spin and finding himself beached, and he ended up coming home last. But it was Marty from Bordas, from Arkanchelski, from Rick Cohn, from Zanfari, all battling hard. Ogard, meanwhile, out in the distance with a gap of nearly over 11 seconds at one point, took the checkered flag with ease. And took his 3rd win of the season. And celebrating with the crowd of his mechanics and his colleagues. That's a big win for Sebastian Ogard. And well done to him, the Danish driver. It's just his 2nd year in Spanish Formula 4, or Formula 4 at least, so we may see him move on up next season, and he really wants to make this count as much as possible. And so, as mentioned, the schedule for tomorrow, we will have 15 minutes of qualifying at 9 AM tomorrow. But then race 2, as I said, it starts at midday. So that's going to be very much the height of the day. It's going to be very hot tomorrow, quite humid. So, and it is, even though it is a shorter race, 18 minutes plus 1 lap, it will still take a little bit of a toll on the drivers. It'll still be quite hot as well for the final race of the weekend. That takes place at 2:35 tomorrow. So still very much the heat of the afternoon for race 3. That will be a test for the drivers as they look to complete this 5th round of the 2021 Spanish Formula 4 Championship. I have absolutely no idea whatsoever why the podium has not actually begun to start yet. So I can't tell you any more than that. All I can tell you is that we're still waiting. There's a lot of people down in the pit lane also waiting. And well, they'll be hoping to maybe get those celebrations done before the race behind them begins. It has been a wonderful effort by the Campos drivers, a 1 and 2 in this race. And you know, difficult effort in this kind of championship when you have so many drivers, so many different teams battling hard for position. And I do believe that is definitely that is the first 1-2 for Campos this season. They have had a race where they've had both cars. Actually, they've had 2 races. I apologize. They have 2 races where they've had both cars on the podium. They've had 2 1-3s so far. The second race in Algarve, Ogard won and Marty was 3rd. And the second race last time out in Aragon, Marty won and Ogard was 3rd there as well. And so, thank you very much for watching Spanish Formula 4 with us today. We shall see you tomorrow for race 2, 12 o'clock Europe, 11 o'clock UK. Hey, okay, any idea what happened with the podium? Or